Hello. Thank you for waiting. Can everybody hear me? My name is Dr. Kevwe, and I welcome you all to this live question and answer session. I was trying to go live on my desktop, but apparently the way I set up this link, it turns out I'm only able to go live on my mobile. So that's the reason for the delay. Thanks to everyone who has joined so far. We have 7 people on the call. Take off my glasses because with my mobile, the words are really small. Hopefully I can manage. My name is Dr. Kevwe and this is my YouTube channel. This is the first episode of my question and answer. I've been trying to do this for over a year now, telling myself different things. Will it work? Will it not work? How many people will I get on board? I thought, go past the inertia and go for it. So today what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be answering questions from friends, family, and friends of friends. We have people from different parts of the globe here in the UK, Nigeria, some people from Canada, some people from the US, some people from Australia. Well, just a brief description of what my channel is all about. So on this channel, I talk mainly well-being, which includes, health, how to stay healthy, because I'm a doctor. As you saw in the introduction script, I'm a UK trained family physician here in the UK. They call us family general practitioners. So that's what I do for my day job. And one of the reasons why I didn't start this, way ahead of time was that I thought if I'm going to be advising people about healthcare related stuff, for example, there might be some health related questions here today. I wanted to qualify as a specialist so that I can have that authority to say that, yes, in my practice, this is what I do. So one of the things we do here is well-being, which includes healthcare. I also like to travel, so I post some things about travel, different places I've been to, New York, Amsterdam, the latest one, and I'm just trying to get through to that picture. But again, with travel comes immigration as well. And I know that a couple of my listeners here are interested in immigration, especially immigration to work. And I'm in the UK, so I've got a little bit of knowledge to advise people. So I'll be expecting questions on work-related immigration. I've got engineers here. There might be some doctors, and people from other walks of life. So I will be looking to take questions on immigration. I also post a few things about lifestyle. I do like cars and a few other things. So, and yes, generally, other questions that people have. For those who don't know me, my name is Dr. Kevwe Daniel Ogidigben. I'm originally Nigerian, but recently nationalized to become a British citizen, and really pleased with that. Really give God all the glory. Yes, I work as a UK trained family physician, and I do YouTube for part-time. So one of the things we'll be talking about today is motivation. Some of the people who are already on this channel necessarily do not need any motivation from me. Indeed, I cannot wear the shoes to motivate them. But for those who need the motivation, we'll be talking about how to overcome inertia and things like that. I will take off my glasses so I'll be able to see some of the questions. Thanks, our mommy in Yeovil, Omola Ogutunde, for joining us here. Thanks, Ari. Hello, Theodore Taylor. Thank you for joining. Hello, Ejiro. Thank you for joining. Really pleased that you guys could make it to this YouTube live session. Yeah, so thankfully I can see the chat on my desktop. So whilst I'm communicating from the mobile phone, I will be looking at the desktop to answer the questions. For those who have just joined, can you kindly indicate where you're joining from today? Thank you, engineer, for joining. You're welcome. If you can just indicate where you are joining from today, and I will be looking to take the questions as they come on. So whilst we're waiting for questions, I'm going to go ahead to, touch on some of the topics. And I'm, as much as possible, I'm going to, oh, thank you, Mrs. Confidence Omubo Pepple, joining from Atlanta, Georgia. Really pleased that you could make it, and congratulations. Thank you, Ari, joining from Somerset, UK. Engineer Evanere, joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you very much. Thank you, Fego Afimo, joining from Woking, UK. 14 so far. So, and initially when I was starting, I was like, if I get 10 today, then I'm super happy. So we've oversubscribed what the numbers that we came here for. So, but really please. Oh, thank you, my friend who's joining in from Moscow, all the way from Moscow. That's really impressive. Thank you for joining. So, I mean, the first point of call, whilst we're waiting for the first question to come in, will be healthcare. Personally, I don't like to doctor people. I don't like to doctor my friends. I don't like to doctor family. And indeed, people don't like to be doctored when they're around medical doctors. But one thing I would usually say is that, health is always wealth, and it's quite important that, very importantly, if we take nothing out of this, at least once a year, it's good to go in to do your wellness bloods. So by wellness blood, I mean checking things like, something like your kidney function, something like your liver function, your blood sugar, very importantly, and what we call the full blood count. So just checking, your blood levels, if I should put it in layman terms, making sure that there's no underlying infection going on, when we check white blood cells. So that's always very important. What we have seen, and I don't like to threaten people, there's a lot of threatening out there when people start talking about healthcare, but I don't like to threaten people. But what we have seen is that people just go on with their lives year in, year out, year in, year out. And all of a sudden you hear that, oh, that person I knew from way back just fell down and died. Or you hear that, oh, that person I knew from way back all of a sudden got a heart attack. But ideally, if you do your bloods, at least once every year, then sometimes if something is going to go wrong, usually it's good to find out early. But I don't like to preach message of anything going wrong. You just want to know that, oh, I've done my blood once this year and everything is fine. And that's where we like to leave it. Everything is fine. We're not saying anything is going to go wrong. My very good friend, Dr. Amubo Pepple Douglas, thanks for joining me, our honorable speaker in my alumni club, my Invest Alumni Club, joining from Frankfurt, Germany. Really lovely to be here. So I'm not saying that anything is going to go wrong. Some of you will realize that every time you talk to doctors, they're like, oh, especially those that you have to pay. They will tell you that if you don't do this, you're going to get this. If you don't come, you're going to get that. I don't like to preach that message. I like to preach the message of at least join in once, do your blood test once a year at least, just to make sure that everything is fine. I got my first question here, and that's coming from Ario. How do you get out of a pre-diabetic state? So someone is already asking, how do you get out of a pre-diabetic state? First of all, what is pre-diabetes? A lot of people know about diabetes when your blood sugar control is out of kilter. So normally, there's supposed to be normal figures for blood sugars. I'm not going to go into figures here, so it doesn't sound too professional, but when the body is struggling to use up the sugars, that the body generates or that we get from food, then the sugars can accumulate in the body and it can cause problems for some of the organs. That's called diabetes. When you get it in older age, some of the time we call it type 2 diabetes, and sometimes people can inherit, diabetes. But when we talk about pre-diabetes, these people are not diabetic, but when they've done their blood test, it's just within, just over the range of normal and under the range of confirmed diabetes. So that's what we call the condition of pre-diabetes. People normally walk around very healthy with it. A lot of people are pre-diabetic, but the risk is that if someone is pre-diabetic, if they don't do anything about it, then they can become diabetic, and we don't want that. The long-term problems with diabetic is people come down with things like kidney disease, you're at risk of heart failure, at risk of heart attacks, and even at risk of stroke. So if you are pre-diabetic, we don't want you to tilt over to the diabetic side. The good news is that in modern day medicine now, there's good evidence that, even people who are diabetic have been able to get into remission. So if you're a pre-diabetes, then that's even better. And that's why it's very important that you do your blood test at least once a year to be able to find out and realize if everything's normal. That's what we want. But if your blood sugar numbers are a bit out of kilter, there's a test we do called the HbA1c that gives us idea of how the blood sugar is controlled on the 3 monthly basis. And if you're pre-diabetic, that's how we find out. How do you get out of a pre-diabetic state? The most important thing is lifestyle. So obviously, lifestyle will entail, physical activity. So you just need to be more active. It doesn't have to be very rigorous exercise, but you just need to be very active. Funny enough, a lot of us have not realized that our lives are very sedentary. We do not move a lot. If you're lucky to be able to walk to work, that's fine. For those of us who drive to work, and I'm talking about myself, everything I'm talking about health today is myself inclusive. Some people think that, the doctor is immune to all of this, but no, the doctor is a human being. So if you are like me who drives to work and then in my job, I sit down to see patients. Yes, I stand up for a few seconds to call patients, but most of the time during my full work day, sometimes I've not exercised for up to 5 minutes altogether. So if you are someone like that and you are pre-diabetic, then you need to really find time in your week to make out time for, increase physical activity. And I'm saying increase physical activity because it's not just exercise. Some people can walk to work. If you drive to work, if you work in a hospital or a business building that has a lot of staircases, instead of taking the lift, you can take the stairs. You just want to increase your physical activity, because what you are doing by doing that is, helping your body use that sugar. As we are walking, our cells are working, the cells in the muscles especially, and you want to help your muscles to be able to use that blood sugar. So you need to be a bit more you need to be actually more active. Now, one other way apart from physical activity, which includes exercise, is the diet. The diet is very important. A lot of people who have gotten into remission from confirmed type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes have clearly stated that the diet is very, very important. There's a lot of podcasts that talk about diet. I'm not going to go into details of what kind of diet. So generally, there's what we call the Mediterranean diet in medicine. So everybody can Google that. That's kind of like a baseline, and you must not stick to it, to the latter. But just to give an idea of the Mediterranean diet, we're talking about things like more vegetable, more fish, less fatty meat, more lean meat. So these days, the way diet works, I always tell people that gone are the days when we knew one parent or one uncle who was diabetic and they say, oh, you need to stop eating eba, you need to stop eating starch. That's not the case. Or you need to stop eating this, stop eating that. These days, the way diet works, you can still eat some things, but you must eat them in a lot of moderation. So too much of everything is bad. But for example, you can eat really good grilled fish and salads for dinner, and you will be very, very full from that. You can eat cow head for the Nigerians here, and I know there's more Nigerians here because mainly family and friends. You can eat a lot of cow head with the more side of things, goat leg, goat head, and you'll still be very full as against a lot of tozo. Some people, if they don't put up to 10, 40 tozo, a lot of tozo inside the thing, they don't get satisfied. So just to summarize with that question, so I move on to something else, the best way to come out of a pre-diabetic state is by increased physical activity, exercise. These days, I tell a lot of my patients, do you swim? Some people don't have the time to go out running. Some people don't have the time to do certain things, or maybe go lift weight in the gym. If that's not your thing, if you're someone who swims, you can find time to go into the swimming pool. There's a lot of discounts out there for gym memberships. For people joining in from Nigeria, I know how it is when I was in Lagos. It's not that easy to register with the gym, or you might not have that time. You just need to look for time to, begin to increase your physical activity. And these days, a lot of people have either a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or an Android watch. There's a lot of, there's the fitness related, things, or even in your phone, there's Strava where you can record your daily activity and try and motivate yourself, just to be more active. Some people are actually also logging onto programs that introduce them to dietitians and advise them. So the good news is that either you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, people are actually getting into remission. And in this modern day, diabetes is not a death sentence. I hope that answers the question, Ari. And, just going back to what I was saying, the first step is to find out if anything is going to go wrong. We don't want anything to go wrong, but if anything is going to go wrong, the first step is to find out, and you need to find out early. So at least if you take nothing from this, one thing you must take home is that do your blood tests at least once a year. Your doctor is not, for those of us in the UK where we can, call into our surgical practices, we will certainly be getting you to book blood test appointments. If you're in the US, sometimes you don't have to break a bank to do that, because if you think of the downsides of not finding something early and all the monies you can spend on insurance, then you'd rather, kind of like prevent. It's better to prevent than to cure. Let me get back to the chats and see questions that are coming in. The next question there, can you speak on stress and hormonal imbalance, and what level of stress can trigger that in a woman? Thank you, Ejiro, for that very important question. So stress is a very, very big topic these days, and stress affects people in more ways than we can even imagine. But in this case, you are talking about, hormonal imbalance. Yes, stress, as we know it, and there's different definitions of stress across the world. I'm too busy, work can be stressful, life can be stressful. The biology behind stress itself is hormonal imbalance. And the main stress hormone is what we call cortisol. So when people get very stressed for whatever reason, then the body secretes a lot of cortisol. Initially, some level of stress can be positive because you do need cortisol to be able to get up and go. But when you are overstressed, then the body secretes a lot of cortisol. Not only cortisol, there are a couple of other hormones that the body will also secrete, like what we call epinephrine. Normally, I know some people might have heard of what we call the flight and fight response. For example, if somebody suddenly puts a knife, if you see somebody bring out a knife, they don't even have to point it towards you in the public. There's something you feel. Your body secretes these hormones that tells you either you need to run, you need to fly. We call it fright and flight. So first of all, you get that fright and then you fly. Either you need to run or you need to protect yourself. So that level of stress is good. The body needs to have that. But when it becomes too much, some people are living as if somebody's pointing a knife at them every day, or they're living as if they have a lion pursuing them every day. And this is in their everyday life. Nobody's pursuing them, but they are living as if they have a lion pursuing them every day. Now, cortisol then develops in the body. A lot of cortisol. Some people are boiling in cortisol, and that can then affect other hormones in the body. For women, we're talking about estrogen and progesterone, and too much stress can cause imbalance in the body. The question here in relation to this is, what can we do? What can we do about stress? Sometimes there's nothing, like in the UK. The UK is one place I've seen where people come to see the doctor for stress. So I'm not able to pay my rent. I'm so stressed, they will come and see the doctor. What can we do? We're not going to be able to perhaps advise you how to pay your rent, apart from see the relevant government websites and all of that. But again, exercise, increasing your physical activity, exercise, finding time for relaxation is very good for stress relief. Finding time for relaxation. I personally will try and have a swim at least once every week. And that is the time where I try to kind of like unwind. Some people like to have parties with friends, at least every once in a while. Different ways, whatever works for you. Once you're able to at least try and unwind, do anything that you enjoy. That some people say, oh, whilst I had that experience, I just forgot about all my problems. And that's very important that we find some of that, to do in our life. Is it going out for a walk? Some psychologists have, advice on breathing exercises. There are breathing exercises that people can do. There's different patterns of breathing exercises, breathing in, holding it for 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and then breathing out slowly, finding time to do that. There's good evidence that leads to a lot of stress relief. And, once you're able to find your vibe on what works for you for stress relief, coincidentally or somehow magically, it helps with, somehow trying to rebalance the hormones. I'm not going to go into all the medicine and all the biochemistry behind that, so that it doesn't sound too doctored and things like that. But, certainly a lot of people here on my chat, you could always, even chat into this YouTube channel later, or down in the comments, and I will also be posting some links. But yes, to answer that question, stress can cause a lot of hormonal imbalance. But the good news is that, even when there's clear reason for you to be very stressed, there's ways to at least manage the stress. Sometimes it's almost difficult for stress to disappear, but there's ways to manage the stress and help ourselves with that. I hope that kind of like touches the question, Ejiro. Engineer is asking, can you speak on high blood pressure control and preventive measures? Thank you for asking that question, Engineer. Blood pressure is a very, very big one. Indeed, one of the statistics I saw, I don't know what the current WHO statistics are right now, but one of the statistics I saw one time said 1 in every 3 people are hypertensive. So high blood pressure is very, very common. And some people say, oh, what causes high blood pressure? We can quickly divide high blood pressure into 2 categories. And the most common one we see is what we call essential hypertension, which we have no reason for. We do believe that except people inherit hypertension from, family, mostly parents, mostly first, your parents, dad or mom. With those people, we check their blood pressures. Ideally, we would say ideal blood pressure should be, let's just get a number here. It's usually a range, but let's say 120 over 80 millimeters of mercury, because we're talking about pressure here. And then you go to see your doctor the first time. Maybe you went to an employment check and you check your blood pressure. It was 160 over 100, for example. We wouldn't say you're hypertensive at that stage. Then ideally, they're supposed to ask you to either see your doctor or they ask you to come back. So, or you went to see the doctor for something else, and then we thought to check your blood pressure, and we found out it was 160 over 100, for example. We will ask you to come back on another day and maybe give it about a week or give it about 2 weeks, and we check the blood pressure again, and we find out at that second check that it's, for example, 150 over 90 or 170 over 100 again, then we can say that that person has hypertension. Now, high blood pressure, if you want to put it literally, is your blood pressure is higher than normal. But when we are talking about hypertension, which is the diagnosis, we're talking about high blood pressure more than a number of times. Okay, the risk with hypertension is that, when your blood pressure is higher than it should be, it can affect your kidneys, it can affect your heart, it can affect your brain and other small blood vessels in the body. So the blood flowing inside your veins, your arteries, are supposed to be maintained at a particular pressure. If anything higher than that over and over and over again can lead to problems. Now, the question was, how do we control blood pressure? First of all, you need to know if you're hypertensive or not. A lot of us have family history of hypertension, but many of us do not know that, oh, there was hypertension in our family. Again, it goes back to that. At least once a year, go and have a wellness check. I know I was talking about just blood tests earlier, but at least checking your blood pressure, having an idea of your weight is very important. Now, if you have your wellness check and you find out that you're hypertensive, then there's two ways to mainly control it. What we do is give people option, like here in the UK, we give our patients option. Some people say, you know what, I want to try lifestyle and diet. When it comes to hypertension, we always advise people to reduce their salt intake. Salt can increase, fluids flowing into the blood vessels and therefore increasing the blood pressure. So diet and lifestyle to try and control high blood pressure, especially for newly diagnosed. Some people say, you know what, I don't like medications. I don't want to be on medications for the rest of my life. So they will say, I will try that diet. I will register with the gym. I will lose some weight and I will continue to become more active. Obviously, it works for a number of people. It works for a percentage of people. So it's an option here. But if that doesn't work, or sometimes when we find out that the blood pressure is really high, you see somebody, like I saw a patient the other day, and the first time I was seeing them, their blood pressure was about 200 over 110. And normal blood pressure is supposed to be 120 over 80, just choosing that number, okay? Obviously, such a person needs to start with medications. And there are medications that your doctor can prescribe for you to try and control your blood pressure. A lot of people do very, very well on medications. Now, I'm talking of essential hypertension where there is no cause. We're thinking that the most likely cause is that the person might have inherited it from their parents, So people do very well on medications. One thing that a lot of people are very scared of. The other day I saw one of my colleagues, like a doctor several years ago, and he was like, oh, he knows that he's hypertensive, but he's scared to start medications. So a lot of people have that fear to start medications. They're like, am I going to take medications for the rest of my life? And what I've asked some of my patients is that, but you eat chicken for the rest of your life? Or, you're going to eat food for the rest of your life. So if you're going to take good medications that, perhaps, hopefully, you do not have terrible side effects to them, and they're going to control your blood pressure and protect, your kidneys, protect your brain, protect your heart, why don't you start on these medications and see how you get on with them? So I always implore people that, if you need to take medications, then please, please, and please forget that fear of I'm going to be on medications for life and try and, start the medications. Now, in terms of hypertension, there's also people who have what we call secondary hypertension. It could be as a result of problems with their kidneys or problems with blockages in their blood vessels. A lot of you might have heard that, there's bad cholesterol that can block the blood vessels and lead to hypertension. It might be as a result of, heart disease. In such cases, what clinicians will try and do will be to try and manage the primary cause of the hypertension. So if it's kidney disease, they'll try to manage your kidneys accordingly, and then try to control your blood pressure better. But for the purposes of this question and answer session, the most important thing is trying to live as healthy as possible. Lifestyle modification for those who smoke tobacco is not the best friend of high blood pressure, and a lot of other things in the body. So we advise try and quit. Obviously, you can't quit tobacco automatically, and a lot of my patients have been drawn to me, taken to me, when maybe they were speaking to someone else, was like, you need to quit tomorrow. I know that you can't quit tomorrow. I've smoked before, I quitted tobacco, and I know that there's a process. So I'm not saying quit your tobacco smoking tomorrow. I'm saying take your time and try and quit. Also, alcohol is not the best friend of hypertension, and other things in the body. But control drinking. I'm not saying stop. Indeed, for some people, sometimes alcohol is kind of like one of the only way they find to have fun when they're socializing. You want to have a little bit of alcohol. Some people, if you don't need to have it, you don't need to have it. But if you feel like, oh, I need a little bit of red wine, after my dinner, or I'm sitting with my friends, I need a little bit of red wine. Previously, the World Health Organization used to say 14 units, and I'm not going to go into units, but every time you buy a bottle of alcohol, you're going to see what they say units. They used to say 14 units per week for men and women. Not more than 14 units per week is the allowed, but the guidelines say if you can do it no alcohol at all, that's the best. If you have to, if you must, then a little bit for the stomach's sake, as the Bible says. So everything in moderation will be the best way to go about that. But if you need more information, obviously, you need to get back in touch with your care providers, get back in touch with your doctors, just to find out more about how to control hypertension. For those who are on the fence, please get your wellness checks, know your family history, ask questions, so that you can protect yourself, especially moving forward. We know that some people say, God for all. Yes, God for all. And God is the one who has also helped some of us to go and train in medical school to be able to support you. A lot of people were watching the news recently. You saw that Reverend T.D. Jakes had a near collapse on stage. He was rushed straight to the hospital. So those who think that God is not, in the hospital helping them, you need to think twice again. I hope that, answers the question on blood pressure. We wanted to do, this session is supposed to run for 30 minutes to 1 hour. We've been taking only health-related topics so far, and 71 views so far. Thanks everyone who has stayed on. I'm going to look on to continue to see some other questions that we have. A lot of you people are saying thank you too for coming on and supporting this program with your click. I hope that somebody is getting something from this so far. Fego is saying, what age on average should people start to be more concerned about their health? Thank you for that question, Fego. I wouldn't say people should be concerned about their health. If you say people concerned about their health, it kind of like sets a negative precedence. And, in this our environment, there's a lot, not in this our environment alone, in the world, there's a lot of health anxiety. That's not something we like to promote. So when you say concerned about your health, is like, already putting one foot forward for health anxiety. No, the actual term should be, at what age should people start looking after themselves? And I would say as soon as you get that awareness to begin to start looking after yourself. Some people, some people from the age of 13, from the age of 14, from the age of 15, they're already aware. Like in this country, there are young girls from the age of 14, 15 who come to request contraception from their family physicians. So those young ladies are already aware that, oh, I need contraception to try and prevent pregnancy. So I would say, from as early as 14, 15, depending on the awareness, people need to start looking after themselves. So yeah, and onwards. So as early as possible, if that answers the question. But it shouldn't be a case of concern about your health. It should be a case of looking after myself so I don't get into a situation where I become concerned. I hope that answers the question. Can we book blood tests without a doctor's appointment in the UK? Omola Ogutunde is asking that question. Actually, if you're going to do it through your general practitioner, your GP, then you need to book appointment. But there are some private and government regulated, companies now that through which people can book tests without a doctor's appointment. I will post that link and talk about it really soon. I was listening to a podcast by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, and one of such companies sponsors his podcast, where you can actually, pay a little token, and you're able to request things like your HbA1c to monitor your blood sugar every 3 to 6 months. You can check your full blood count, you can check your kidney function, you can check your liver function, you can check your cholesterol. So the answer to that question is no, you don't need to book a doctor's appointment to check your blood test in the UK. In America, it's the same thing. You necessarily don't need to book a doctor's appointment. In Nigeria, obviously, where a lot of people will ask me, what do I need to do? I'm not feeling too well. You can walk into the laboratories and you can say, one of my doctor friend asked me to do this and that, and you'll be able to sort out that blood test. So I hope that answers the question, Lola, and I'll be able to share some credible links where people can be able to, have those resources at hand, just in case you wanted to book a blood test just to find out and the doctor was saying, oh, you don't need a blood test or something like that. What's your advice on overcoming anxiety? Thank you for that question, Ari. Very, very important question, because the other day I was having a conversation with my friends, and it does seem like I'm a bit out of touch of, how much mental health is in Nigeria. And they made me understand that, there's a lot of mental health in Nigeria in terms of anxiety and depression. And, I just didn't realize how much. We've come to the West here. We're living in the West, living in the UK, living in the US, Australia, Canada, even Asia. And we're seeing that, anxiety and depression is a really big thing. One thing people need to know is that we all have a mental health. And to some extent, it's normal to feel anxious. For example, if you have your rent to pay and you don't have money in your pocket and the date is, fast approaching, obviously you're going to feel anxious. That's normal anxiety, but that's not the anxiety we're talking about here. Or if, you don't have money to buy food in the next few days, you're going to feel anxious, you're going to feel down, you're going to feel a bit depressed. That's not the kind of, anxiety and depression we're talking about. People have what they call clinical anxiety and depression, which has to do with, do you know what? I have everything good in my life. I don't know what's going on. Or it's just my rent I need to pay. I know I don't know how to pay, but I'm overreacting. I can't think on it. I can't do any other thing because I'm thinking of this thing. That's getting to the clinical side of anxiety and depression. And if that's happening over time, even after you've paid the rent, you're still struggling, you're struggling to sleep, you have poor appetite, or you've lacked in, you're losing interest, your friends are calling you, oh, come, let's catch up. I know you're not working this weekend, let's catch up. And like, you know what? Don't worry, I'll take a rain check. Or you're taking a rain check. First week, second week, you're taking a rain check for 6 weeks, 6 months now, 1 year now. These are some of the symptoms of low mood, depression, anxiety. For all of a sudden, you don't know what's going on, but your heart starts to race. Your heart starts to race. You feel like, oh, you can't breathe. You're feeling tingling sensations around the mouth. These are some of the symptoms of anxiety. How do we control anxiety? Again, there's different methods. One of the baseline we always advise is lifestyle modification, physical activity, exercise, sometimes just going out to go and take a walk in that cold air, in nature, looking at the trees, hearing the birds, going for a swim, going for a run. Sometimes when people go out to do that, they kind of like the brain then secrete feel good hormones that can kind of like reduce your cortisol level. We talked about stress the other time. It's also related to anxiety, cortisol. We have feel good hormones when you go out for things like that. Go to the gym if you can. Meet up with your friends. There's very good evidence to say that, coming together to socialize, has actually led to longevity, like long life, in certain communities. So meet up with your friends, have a good time. We know that life can be tough sometimes, but, when you can meet up together, when you can do some of these things and try and relax, like they say where I come from, that now waiting day belle 9 person get to, so that's one way of, trying to cope with or reduce stress and anxiety. Obviously, the other way is going to speak to your doctor. There's medications that we can give, different type of medications that can help with clinical anxiety. So if you know that you're struggling, you've tried to go for a walk, you've tried to go for a swim, you've tried to meet up with your friends, but all of a sudden when you're alone, you find your heart racing, you find sometimes as if you're finding it difficult to breathe, you've gone to see the doctor, nothing's wrong with your heart, nothing's wrong with your lungs, then you can discuss with your doctor and get the appropriate medications for anxiety. I hope that answers the question. Thanks, Dr. J, my boss. Thanks, Gogo, my person, for clicking in and joining. I'm really happy that you guys have been able to support me here. So we've been talking about health and health and health. Almost 40 minutes of talking about health. Now it seems like it's a health talk. Anyone has any other questions relating to anything? Immigration, travel? We've talked about a lot of health. Why don't we talk about motivation? One of the things I try to do is tell us about Amsterdam trip. Don't worry, I've got a vlog coming on about my Amsterdam trip. For those of you who know me, I like to travel. I've not been able to travel for a while, because we're trying to sort out some things. But I do like to travel. I've got a few travel video blogs on my YouTube channel, and I'll be posting more. And I've got links to good travel agents. I've got people who can book cheap deals for you, different destinations, book your transport to the airport, book your ticket, book your hotel, book your transport at the destination. I've got links to people who can do that for you. So Aries asking me Fego is asking me what are some of my dream destinations. Well, Nigeria is not one of them for now, but I'm not trying to get anybody upset. Oh, thanks, Greg, and welcome for joining. But dream destination, I haven't been to Paris, so I would like to go to Paris. I haven't been to anywhere in Spain. I haven't been to anywhere in Portugal. I haven't been to Mexico. We had a little mini reunion, my human physiology alumni group in Birmingham, and we're thinking of going to Cancun in Mexico next year so that we can meet up with our counterparts in North of America. So yeah, I do love Cancun. And yeah, I have a lot of dream destinations, trust me. I was doing my passport and I've done the one for extra pages recently, just to show that, I would, there's a lot of dream places I like to go. There's lovely places in the Caribbean. There's actually lovely places in Africa. I hear that Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt is really good. People like to go to Zanzibar. People like to go to different nice places in Morocco. So there's a lot of nice destinations there. If you have questions about travel or you need someone to help you sort out some travel because you're really busy, then we can sort that out for you. I've got links for that. My boss, Dr. James, say I should kindly recommend a destination for a family of 5. Family of 5, it depends on how far, what is the budget. But if we start with, low budget, I can give you kind of like good optimum quality to enjoy yourself. I've heard that we just had a photo shoot and someone was telling me that Sicily was really good. They enjoyed Sicily in Italy, but I do know that, some people like to go to Rome. I hear Rome is really good. In terms of, Greece, Greece will be pinpoint to start with. Family of 5. If you haven't been, you want to go to somewhere you can enjoy blue skies, really nice blue ocean water, Mediterranean food. You get to lodge for yourself. Greece is somewhere I've heard of. Oh, my friend, Dr. Woman is saying Cape Verde. Oh, Cape Verde. Yeah, I hear that their beaches are really good in Cape Verde. Seychelles as well, Mauritius. Yeah, really good destinations. And I've got links to people who can book all of this. Seychelles is one I would like to try. My cousin Karen got married in Seychelles. Really really lovely scenery there. Places around Europe. Greece will be a good start. Greece will really be a good start. Rome is good. Yes, I know that Gogoski, you've been to Rome, so Rome is really good. Malta is lovely too, Eri says. I know that you guys have been to Malta. Malta is really lovely. I was in Amsterdam recently. Amsterdam is really good as well. They've got really lovely boat cruises that I'll be posting something on that. And, people came all the way from America. Children as young as 5. It was a 5-year-old's birthday. They were on a luxury boat cruise with us in Amsterdam across the canal. Maldives is my dream place. Honeymoon destination. How lovely. Yes, so at least, one thing I've noticed amongst, people here in the West is that they don't play with their holidays. And it's not only the West. There's a lot of people in Nigeria who at least once a year or maybe once in 2 years, they would, try to go on holiday. For some people, it's not a very common thing. Some of our people feel like, oh, I haven't finished eating. How do I want to manage a holiday? I was once like that. And then I tell you, when I was working in St. Nicholas, in the doctor's room at some point, I was the only one that had not traveled out of Nigeria, not to talk of Africa. So nobody told me before I rushed a trip to Accra. I said, you know what? I'm going to break the jinx. And then I booked a trip to Accra, went by road. The next year, I booked a trip to Dubai. These are really, really easy places. And, one tip I'm going to give on travel, you can always find the places that are visa-free for whatever citizenship you hold. For example, Nigerians, there's a number of places that are visa-free. I hear somewhere like Seychelles, and a few places like that. Maldives, some of these places are visa-free from Nigeria, or the visa is really easy to get. These days, a lot of people are finding it really easy to get Schengen visas. So Schengen is the, European countries, the group of European countries who cooperate. And if you get that Schengen visa, then you can use it to travel to a number of places. So find out which visas are visa-free for the citizenship you hold. For those who are British citizens, like myself, US citizens, Canadian citizens, you have obviously more leeway to travel than, what's within your budget. If you work hard, like I remember the first time I was traveling to Dubai, there was one Igbo guy just beside my seat, shell worker at the time. He was like, every year he keeps molding blocks and molding blocks and molding blocks, to build. And this year he was like, do you know what? I'm going to travel. I'm just going to travel. So he took his family and they went on a trip because there was a friend of him who had been molding blocks and molding blocks. And suddenly, I don't like to say this, but the guy fell down and died. He had not seen the world. So if you work hard, apart from part of well-being is traveling to relax, and I've noticed here in the West that a lot of people don't play with their travel. Gogoski say Barbados. Barbados is visa-free, you see? So Barbados is visa-free, and I hear that it's a really lovely island that, people can easily travel to from Nigeria. Sometimes I know that, with exchange rates and things like that. Now, sometimes tickets are terrible. But if you book these things ahead, what I've learned here in England is that people book their holidays sometimes even 2 years ahead, but the regular one is 1 year ahead. Then you can get the advantage of getting cheap tickets, and getting cheap deals. But again, if you want more information on travel, then give me a chat, for those who are on my WhatsApp, or, message me through any of my social media channels, or even here on YouTube, and we can sort you out when it comes to travel. And some people also have deals there which you can pay for your travel instrumentally. I see that a lot of British people do that. It doesn't have to be, if you're waiting to get $1,000 or €1,000 or 5 million naira before you book travel. Sometimes it will never come because there's always something to take that money. So you can, kind of like, begin to pay for your travel instrumentally and over a year. Obviously, there's a lot of fraud out there. So it's one thing that you really need to be careful about when you're paying for a travel. Make sure that it's something that is protected. Here we say APTA protected, and there are different kinds of protection, so that even if the travel was cancelled, you have the guarantee of getting your money back. But a lot of people travel through this medium, so it's a really good way. We come 51 minutes in so far, and I can say it's been really good. I've been enjoying myself. I've got a bit of mocha here, coffee, and decaf coffee and chocolate. Sorry for slopping that down. As one of my colleagues said, Daniel, why you just slop that down? So yes, if you need further information about travel, just give me a shout. Work-life balance is very important. Obviously, for sanity, yes, work-life balance is very important. Some people think it's work. Obviously, we have bills to pay, but on the long run, there's what you call burnout. People work. Suddenly, you're just tired. You're not even at work. You're feeling tired. Or you have work to go. You're not even there. You haven't gone there. You're feeling tired already. When you come back, you're feeling like, someone has used stones to hit all your joints. You're overreacting. When people try to talk to you, then you might think twice, because that might be burnout. What we call burnout. You've worked so much, you've exhausted your physical energy, and you've exhausted your mental energy. So it's always good to try and find time to refresh. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily need to be abroad when you talk about travel. For example, there in Lagos, there's places like Campine, Tropicana, there's other little Ilashe, Ilashe Beach, other little places that people go to relax. So when you talk about travel or relaxation, it doesn't have to necessarily be abroad. But if you can afford it, if you can plan for it, then going abroad every once in a while is a good thing. And there was a time I used to think that travel was a big deal, but it's not a big deal. Trust me, travel is not a big deal. There are people who, they are not wealthy, they are just average, and they've traveled several destinations around the world. You won't believe it. You don't have to be a Dangote before you can travel. In some families, it's a big deal. Somebody wants to travel and they're like, oh, not tell anybody. Oh, yes, I know, village people and all that, but, travel is not a big deal. There's a group of persons where travel is nothing. It's not a secret that you're traveling to Spain to go and relax. So please, I always like to encourage people to be forward thinking. All these things we see on TV, you like to watch people on TV travel. You're like, wow, that can be you. Nothing good is impossible. That's one of my mantras. Nothing good is impossible. So that's on travel. On motivation, like I said, I'm not worthy to be motivating some people, but they say iron sharpeneth iron. And one of the examples I'm going to give is that, starting going live on my YouTube channel is something I've always planned. I've been planning this for over a year now, and I kept telling myself one reason or the other why it wouldn't work. Oh, will people attend? Look, we've had 91 views only on the live, and I know that after this, there's much more people that are going to watch. So this has been a super success. But I kept telling myself, will people attend? Oh, I'm just a senior house officer, or I'm a medical officer. I'm not worthy to answer health questions online, or what do I know about travel? Where have I been to? But eventually, I said, you know what? I'm going to damn the consequences, and I'm going to go for this. So I always encourage people, if you have any plan, if you have anything you want to do, the best time to have done it was yesterday, but the next best time is now. And I'm talking to myself. We all must try to take action. All the things, there's a lot of good things we want to do, there's a lot of good things we can achieve. We all must try to take action. If you don't take action, then you're not going to know whether you succeed or not. But for those who have that very morbid fear of failure, if you don't fail, then you have not even given yourself a chance. So there's what we call failing forward. Some people are afraid to fail, so they've not even tried at all. But some people have failed 5 times and then have succeeded the 6th time. And that's them on the other pedestal, next level. And we're talking next level. There's a lot of next levels that people can achieve. Oh, the new year is coming again. People are going to make a lot of new year commitments. Oh, this year, not grief for anybody. This year, oh, this is my year. They're going to go to church. They're going to go to mosque, different places. Those who are not religious are going to set goals. This year, not grief for anybody. And then it's going to be another year, but we can achieve a lot. We just need to take that action and forget about the past. Forget about what happened in the past. What if it was this? What if I did this? Yes, you can say, oh, I wish I did this 5 years ago, but forget about the past. Let's look towards what we can achieve in the future. And I'm sure that, everybody is going to be great. Everybody's going to be great. So let's go for it. I'm going to go for it. I don't know about anyone else. I'm going to go for it. And I'm hoping that, by the grace of the Almighty Creator, we're going to achieve the things we want to achieve, and everybody's going to be happier for it in your different circles. So, I mean, we've had a really good time. Again, my name is Dr. Kevwe, Kevwe Daniel Ogidigben, for those who don't know me. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I've left this to the end because I don't like to, usually canvas for that. But yes, you need to canvas for subscriptions. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe. Myself and my team, we talk about well-being. We don't like to doctor people, but obviously in the coming days, I'm going to be doing a lot of short topics on different common health-related topics that I know that people struggle with. So we talk about well-being. We talk about lifestyle, which includes travel. I do love cars, so sometimes I go for test drives and I will video and I will post up these cars, so we talk about lifestyle. And we talk about productivity. Obviously, in terms of productivity, I haven't talked much about productivity because there's not been a lot of questions about productivity today. But, obviously, as a doctor, I wrote certain exams to come to the UK. Professionals need to write certain exams like IELTS, OET these days, which some people find easier than IELTS because OET kind of like uses your own professional language. Either if you're a doctor, if you're an accountant, if you're a nurse, if you're a pharmacist. I understand that I didn't take the OET myself. I took IELTS, but I understand that the OET, uses your professional language. So some people find it easier to pass compared to the IELTS, but no exam is too difficult when it comes to exam productivity professionally. Nothing is too difficult. If you put your time to it, you might fail a few times or you might pass the first time. You never know. But even if you haven't passed the first time, don't be disillusioned. Go for it again. Put your time and you will make it. So no exam is too difficult. Obviously, with productivity, we're not talking about only exams. There's business productivity. I was fortunate enough to be one of the first 1,000 entrepreneurs that got a grant of $1,000 from the Tony Lumelu Foundation. So I do know a little bit about business, and I'm trying to grow my YouTube to become a business, and try and start other businesses, having achieved some professional success. So yes, productivity. There's podcasts, there's books you can read. Please try and try and, grow yourself, grow your thoughts, be positive thinking. One of the most important things in life is progress. And to progress, you need to feed your mind with good things, improve your knowledge any way you deem fit. And thanks. I will hold live sessions like this from time to time. We have hit the 1 hour mark, and I will be ending this live shortly. But again, I want to thank everyone who has joined us today and taking time out of their busy schedules, to try and ask some questions, join me. Usually, it's mostly family, friends, and friends of friends, a few colleagues. I really thank you. They say if you're going to do anything and succeed at it, if you can't start from your family and friends, then where would you start from? So I'm really happy that I was able to overcome my inertia. Thanks, Matt Okari. Thanks. I was able to overcome my inertia to get this session sorted. I will watch it back and try to organize some more specific sessions depending on demand. But I really thank you all for coming. Do have a nice evening. Stay safe and God bless. Thank you very much. Now I'm gonna have to look for a way to end it, if I can find that. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for coming. Start a poll. Oh, I would have been able to start a poll with this one. Session is over. Thank you. How do I end this live session? Thank you. Thanks, anti-confidence. Thanks and congratulations. We'll call you guys soon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you to all my colleagues who joined. Thank you very much. Your support has been very, very much appreciated. Thank you to all the family members. And I will see you guys sooner than later. Obviously, I'm a bit new at this, so I'm just... Oh, damn.